guys, so today I'm bringing you a tag video. I'm going to be doing the how I read tag. I've seen quite a few YouTubers do this. Nobody tagged me. I just decided I really felt like doing it because it's kind of a fun tag. So I'm going to get started. I printed out the questions. The first one is, how do you find out about new books? And this one's, there's multiple venues for how I find out new books. Part of it is Twitter. A large part of it is BookTube and Tumblr and various blogs. Probably some of the most influential ones that I've checked out are Paperback Castles on Tumblr and her blog, which is in, I want to say Danish. I always have to hit Google Translate, but we're friends on Goodreads and I follow her on Tumblr. So she posts a lot. I think she's getting her MA in literature, so she reads a lot of the same kind of things as I do. Bookish Thoughts on YouTube also, I think, just got accepted into her master's program, so congratulations on that. But she reads a lot of like classical literature. I also, Books and Quills reads a lot of like YA, but more elevated YA, if that makes sense. So I get a lot of suggestions from her. Just in general, Tumblr, I follow a lot of book blogs on that, so I tend to get suggestions from that, and from publishers on Twitter and people tweeting about books, that kind of thing. But I also get suggestions from friends. There are a couple of my like real life friends that I go to for books. Also, I have a fairly good relationship with a lot of the people who work at my local bookstore, and I talk to them about what they're reading, and sometimes, you know, I just wander around and find books that way. I generally don't walk into a bookstore blind with no idea about what I want to purchase. I generally have done my research beforehand. And yeah, so that's how I find out about new books. Question number 2 is, how did you get into reading? And I have a very specific story about this. I was about 10 and my mom took me to Stratford, Ontario to go see Alice Through the Looking Glass, which was one of my first plays that I got to go see with her. We pretty much go to Stratford every year and see a play. It's a fantastic festival. And I think it was before or after the play, I can't remember, we went into a bookstore, and at this point I was horseback riding. I've been riding for about 5 years at this point. Like, I'd read up until this point, but I wasn't a reader, to be sure, and we found me, I think it was a Pony Club book. I'm pretty sure it was a Pony Club book. I also then like graduated into Saddle Club and Thoroughbred and all the horse books. And that's what drew me into reading, and like pretty much since that moment, that's the exact moment I can pinpoint where I literally have not spent a day without reading for like the rest of my life. So I really like that story, on being able to like pinpoint exactly when I became a reader. Question number 3 is, how have your tastes changed as you've gotten older? Well, obviously I don't read Saddle Club or Pony Club or Thoroughbred books anymore. I don't even horseback ride anymore. I gave that up, oh god, quite a while ago, in my teens when I, you know, became too cool for it. But yeah, I still read a lot of YA. This is something friends who don't know me on like social media platforms, Cassie, I'm looking at you, tend to comment like, oh, you read a lot of YA, and I'm like, yeah, I do. My course load is generally pretty strenuous, so I tend to pick pretty fluffy books to read during the school year. During the summer, I tend to gravitate more towards the classics. I just picked up Middlemarch by George Eliot, which is like 800 pages, and so far is amazing. But I just don't have the time to focus on that, but I still want to keep reading, so I tend to read more fluffy books during the year, and then like serious books during the summer when I have time to focus on them. Number 4 is, how often do you buy books? Very often. Generally weekly. I sometimes can't help but pop into bookstores. I do tend to buy online shopping maybe once a month. Generally I do a big order every couple of months. I just did one for April, and my last big online order was in February, which was my post-Christmas one. So I don't do a lot of online ordering. Occasionally I'll order the odd book off of the book depository, off of Amazon, but generally for like my chapters orders, I tend to do like big ones because they have a minimum shipping requirement, and then I just it adds up to be like $100 or whatever. So I get quite a few books when I do that. Question number 5 is, how did you get into booktubing? I started by watching Books and Quills. She was my first booktuber. And then I found Bookish Thoughts and The Readables and all those wonderful people. And I just kind of thought, I'd like to talk about books. And especially Climb the Stacks, who is fantastic. If you haven't checked her out, definitely do. She tends to read a lot more adult books. I really like her, the way that she does her videos and stuff. She's really encouraging for like getting into booktube, so I kind of just decided, I had all the equipment. I mean, I've done photography for quite a while. I figured why not, and it looks really good on my CV for my grad school applications. Number 6 is, how do you react when you don't like the end of a book? I'm normally okay with it. Like, I don't expect to love everything I read. If you follow me on Goodreads, you can tell I don't love a lot of what I read. I normally I give out a lot of 2s and 3s for what I read, especially during the school year, because I'm reading a lot of YA. And I have a very strict standard for what gets me as a book. So I'm just trying to, like, the most obvious one I'm thinking of is the end of Allegiant, and I was like, it's kind of spoiled for that, so that one didn't really bother me too much. I don't know. I don't have super strong reactions to the end of the book. I don't like freak out and have a meltdown. And I just move on to the next book. Number 7 is, how often do you spoil yourself? Frequently. Oh my god, I'm so bad for spoilers. My friend's making fun of me, like, while I'm texting today, because we went and saw Captain America, which was the second time I'd seen it, but I've never been really big into reading comics, and like, I'm a little overwhelmed on where to start, so I just started Wikipedia and stuff, and I was like, spoiler alert for those of you who don't watch it, cover your ears if you're a Marvel fan person, but don't read the comic books. Steve Rogers dies at some point, and then Bucky becomes, like, Captain America, and I started freaking out about that, and she's like, oh my god, you just need to stop spoiling yourself, and I just do it all the time. I spoiled myself for Allegiant, I spoiled myself for, like, everything. I just don't have the patience, and yeah, I'm horrible. I spoil myself all the time. Question number 8 is, who are you going to tag? Pretty much everybody's done this video, so I tag everyone who hasn't done it, because, yeah, I've watched a lot of these videos in the past couple days, which made me really want to do it. So yeah, I tag everybody who hasn't done it, and that is the How I Read tag, and I will see you guys later. Happy reading!